Welcome, Brian. This is our first video chat, and we are going to be talking about Thundercats and some Silverhawks and everything else that you've been up to lately in that world. So we are finally now caught up with waves 2 and 4, and Chitara is almost here. She's on a ship. So how does that feel?
How does it feel? I'd love to say it feels like relief. It took a long time. I'm happy. I think the toys turned out great. Unfortunately, there are other people that disagree. The vast majority of people, though, that I hear from think they turned out great. It's just one of those things, like, it's so frustrating because you work on it for so long and there's so many other extenuating circumstances that we can't control to get these things done. And then it comes out and it's like, there's a little bit of a whimper sometimes. And it's like, oh man, like I'm so pumped up on this and other people aren't.
Okay, I understand. So
what a downer to start the interview with, right? I'm excited. Like this thing's fucking rad.
Yes,
yes.
It's huge, and it's bigger. I mean, I reviewed it the other day, and it's so much bigger than what I actually. When you see it on a picture, it's just not as big as when you actually hold it in your hands. It's huge.
Yes.
So let's talk about Chitara first. When do you expect her to land on your way?
Well, she's left. So now it all depends on the carriers and where you ordered it from.
What with you guys?
So if you ordered it direct from us and it got out, a week and a half ago or so, then, let's just say for easy math, May 1, it should take somewhere between 75 to 90 days to get here. So May 1, June 1, July 1, August.
Okay.
Sounds awful, but that's how long it takes. Depending on where you're at, though, if you ordered it, that's from our container and our cargo. Big Bad has their own containers that they pick up in Hong Kong. EE, the same thing. Hio, the same thing. So it really all depends on where you ordered it from and what luck of the draw we get in shipping. Maybe it'll get here a little faster. Maybe it'll get here a little slower. Right now, I don't know anyone that has any good predictions on shipment to shipment, what things are going to take. I mean, we've had some shipments show up in 40 days. I've had shipments show up in 110 days. It's the luck of the draw on your boat, your vessel, especially if it's got a dock anywhere else and anyone has we've had boats where it left Vietnam to pick up inventory in Hong Kong to come to LA, but then somebody in the crew had COVID and so the boat got stuck in Hong Kong. Like shipping's a whole thing at this point. It used to take 28 days, now it takes 3+ months. Who knows.
Okay, so when you spoke about her a while back, you mentioned that the first one that was produced, everything was taken out of the package. Did you send back the additional accessories to the factory to repackage on that end, or are you doing it on your side?
No. In the end, we didn't do it. In the end, it was not cost effective to redo and repack. So the figure was, the entirety of the thing was remade top to bottom. So yeah, originally I was hoping that we would just be able to swap out the figure, but then when we added the additional head, then you have to change the blister. So we're going to do that and that. And in the end, we calculated the time it would take for our warehouse to take them all apart, change them, assemble them out and put back together, as well as the damage rate that would happen to boxes, because they're all sealed. You'd have to cut them open and do they get bent or anything. And in the end, it was going to take even longer and be more cost effective than just remaking the entirety of the figure. So we literally remade everything.
That makes sense. So you mentioned her glow-in-the-dark eyes head. Now, she and Panthro are currently the only two that have that. And there has been a lot of people asking, yes,
Glow in the dark eyes.
awesome, awesome. Now the other cats, we've spoken about that before, and it's something that you discussed. Now, with regards to Panther himself, some people that bought the reissue or version 2 of him don't have that glow in the dark head and have been wondering, would they be able to get it somewhere else in a future pack somewhere?
I hadn't thought about it. Maybe. If there was a demand for it, I suppose we could do that. I hadn't really considered it, but then again, I also hadn't, you know, I don't, I'm talking my way around to go like, oh, I hadn't thought really about that too much since then. So maybe it's something, if enough people want it, we could. There's no reason why we couldn't, I guess, is the right answer. The question is, how much time do we have to make, you know, there's only so many things we can get made. And do we bring it in? Do we put it into a pack where people want it? I think it's worth noting. And let me think about it. And, you know, is that 200 people that are looking for that head, or is it 2,000 people looking for that head? I don't know. Just because everybody wants to talk about it right now. Tara came out awesome. Awesome.
Please, that's cool.
She's great.
She's beautiful. No hip problems. She's fixed.
Huh?
No hip issues.
No, not at all. In fact, these are probably the best female hips we've ever made. They're so, I mean, this is really creepy to anybody watching this on a video right now. This is as creepy as it gets, but like how narrow those hips are is amazing and everything. And, you know, everybody, you know, if you look at this compared to especially like the prototype photos, and you look at how wide the hips are and then what has to be done to the legs to make them fit in there, like this was improved like miles and miles and miles from what that other stuff was.
And she was completely retooled.
Yes.
That's
Because
awesome.
we had already made the tooling change, and they shipped the wrong thing, and then we're like, well, if we're going back, we're going to make it even better. So,
well, she looks good.
And that's, yeah. And then, yeah, there's been people are wondering about, let's see, in my light here about,
yes,
you know, the paint going up the back of her neck and everything. So,
now that's the problem with photographs, is you can't really see. A flash mixes everything up, and lighting and everything. I mean, it really is very deceiving.
Well, it's not even so much that. It's like, it's me holding it with my cell phone.
Yes.
Like, so, no, this figure, I think people will be extremely, extremely happy with Chitara. I think she turned out phenomenal, and hopefully other people do too. So,
well, it's going to be a long wait to get her in August only. Can't wait to get her.
You know, got the flame, the bow staff. I got everything here.
So that flame. Apologies. That flame was something that wasn't advertised before. So that is something that like sticks into the staff at the end of it.
Yeah. Hold on, let me get out the staff. There you go.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. Okay, cool. That confirms it.
That confirms it. Yes.
Nice flames. You like to add little surprises here and there.
Yeah. No, this I know I'm supposed to say I love it, but I do. This figure turned out really great, and I think people will be very, very happy with her.
About Wave 2, the back of the boxes have got the reaction art that's on there. It's not on Wave 1. Now, was that something that you planned to have it from Wave 2 onwards, or was it just something that because of the reaction towards it on the reaction packaging, was that the reason why?
Yeah, I think it was like, we can make this better, and we have this great art. Let's use it.
And did you ever think about putting that on the Wave 1 reissues?
No, with the Wave Run reissue, it was very much just about getting that figure back out and not, the more we change, the more it would slow down how long it takes for that stuff to get out, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like if I use the exact same package, then the factory just has to match it. If I change the package, then we've got to go into proofing and sampling and everything else that we can avoid those stages with. So when we were doing that, we were trying to make that as low impact as possible. Fix a few problems, but make it as low impact as possible.
Now the molds of Wave 2, do you have them? It looks like you might.
Yes, molds of Wave 2 we have. Molds of Wave 1 I do not have, because those are not my molds.
Okay. So we'll get to one of
the
molds.
Molds of Wave 2 have been moved from one factory. Everything that's mine got moved. As soon as they were finally done, we moved that tooling to a different factory.
Okay, excellent. Okay. Now you mentioned that we know that that factory messed up with, especially when it came to Tigra. You got his sample and it was the way that you wanted it. But that little elbow pad, I've seen bring back the elbow pad in some of the posts. Now, have you guys discussed maybe thinking about in future to include that as a packing somewhere in a different Tigra release? If it's something you wanted to
definitely, you know, it's definitely something people are asking about. I think it comes into a slightly harder thing of like swapping those parts because they're not meant to be swapped is difficult, but not impossible by any stretch of the imagination. We've thought about it. Yeah, like it's in that same, you know, I'm sure somebody wants a more definitive answer, but like we've thought about it, like really up until a week and a half ago, I was trying to make sure Chitara got on a boat, and I haven't gotten that much further on a lot of these things.
So it's on
because there's the next wave of ThunderCats we've been working on, and so the in-between stuff I have not had a lot of time to follow up on yet. But yes, I know people would like a sculpted elbow pad.
Now let's talk about Wave 5 quickly. Last year, you said that there was a silly reason why it was actually delayed, and that one day we're going to look back and laugh about. What exactly was that reason? You remember that?
Hold on. I'm living in the next wave, and I'm just going back. Oh, like why did Wave 5 of ThunderCats get delayed? Oh, I know exactly what it is. I can't talk about it yet. We'll have to wait till we're further in the future. Okay. Sorry, I had to go backwards and go, okay, what was Wave 5? How did we do? Oh, yes, got it. Can't talk about it yet. That may be a 10 years from now kind of thing, not a now.
Okay, cool. Now, your Ultimate Updates page shows that it's still on track so far. Do you think that we'll see it at the end of the year, or is the shipping going to push it back into Q1 of next year?
Thunder Tank?
No, the Wave 5 delivery.
Wave 5? No, Wave 5 is on target.
Would it be out by Q4?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, in good shape.
Okay, now you mentioned the other day that Mandora and the Electrocharger, they were part of Wave 5 and then they got pushed out. And that mini wave really worked out great. Do you think that that's something that you're going to look at in the future to offer different mini waves like that?
That was sort of a two-parter thing. So part of what happened there was part of what made Wave 5 late, but we can't talk about what made Wave 5 late. But Mandora originally was part of Wave 5. I don't know that it's necessarily so much a mini wave, you know, having 5 figures and a motorcycle is just too much. So we split those apart. There's some other stuff that would be fun to do, but I need to, same as I always used to say, it's like I need to land the Thunder Tank, need to get a couple other things in hand, and then I can start thinking about other things. But I think that we're definitely starting to add in, where appropriate, accessory pieces. You know, I hate to call Mandor's motorcycle an accessory piece. It's not, it's a vehicle, but that's where the thrones come in and stuff like that, where it's like, okay, what are some of those extra pieces? So we're trying to find those moments to have some fun. And if it makes sense with the character, give a little bit more. So we're trying to do a bit more of that.
Okay. So would that be exclusive to a wave, or would you, if it gets too much, push it out and release it separately?
Yeah. Yeah. Push it out and release it separately. It all sort of depends. Yeah.
So something like Snow Meow would.
Snow would be this big, and there would, yeah, Snow Meow, one step at a time, one step at a time.
Now we got our first Berserker in Wave 5, which was Captain Hammerhand. Can we expect to see the next one in the next wave?
No, but probably the wave after that.
Okay. So I've got some questions about Wave 5 as well from collectors. And Bengali has got the two different heads. The one has got the yellow eyes and the other one has got the blue eyes, I think. Those yellow eyes, do they light up, or is it just paint? Is it glow in the dark or not?
I don't think it's glow in the dark. I don't think so. Could be wrong. I don't think so.
Okay. It didn't look like that, so I was just.
I don't think it does. But then I'm not going to be the expert on this that everybody was going to want me to be on this video, where I'm like, I'm still going backwards. Like, what were we doing that? Because I'm thinking about wave 7 and 6 that's getting ready right now. I don't remember. I don't think that it does.
Hammerhand, the pants on that figure, is it going to be yellow like the toy? Because in the one it was black and in the video it was yellow.
Yeah, we're updating the pants to be more animation accurate.
Okay. And then Vulture Man, his height in the promo shots, he appeared to be a little bit taller, but in the video that you did, it was more like in line with the others, the way that he scaled correctly. Is it more in line with what we had in the video with the prototypes?
I believe he's a little bit taller. I believe the figure is indeed a little bit taller because it is because he is.
Okay. Okay. And then there was a nice tease in some of the shots of Cat's Lair. Is that any indication? Cat's Lair. Is that any indication?
There's no Cat's Lair right now. No Cat's Lair right now. No. Yeah, because Cat's Lair is in the back of it. Yeah, that's. I saw a couple people going, "Oh, it's in the background. It must be coming." I'm like, "Oh no, I got to get through Thunder Tank first."
Okay, but let's talk about Cat's Lair.
Let's talk about Cat's Lair.
Hypothetically say, this thing, it is going to be, if you were to make it, when you make it, it is scaled.
When I make it, that's nice. Are you willing this into? You're willing that into existence,
yes.
right? When I make it,
I need it. I've got that little cardboard thing, but I need a proper one. There.
It won't fit in there.
I know. I'm going to move it. That's how I'm going to move it. Right. It's obviously going to be scaled ridiculous because it is a big playset. I mean, I've got Snake Mountain over there, and it's huge. Now, that won't scale with a Thunder Tank. If you had to make it to scale with a Thunder Tank, which is already like that big, it won't work. Would you?
It would take your whole room if it was in scale with Thunder Tank.
Yeah. Would you look at the LJN playset instead? In comparison,
obviously, if we were going to go down that route, I mean, the first thing you would want to do is you would want to make it feel, at least in some way, shape, or form, that it felt appropriate to the Ultimates figures. The reality, though, is even with a Cat's Lair, for it to really be in scale, like, you know, the Ultimates would have to be this big, and then the Lair would. So then it comes a bit about, almost like you have two different points of view. You have the point of view of what does it look like when it's closed, or when I'm looking at it from the front side, so it feels like the Cat's Lair. And then when I turn it around, almost like I've zoomed into a section, like, how do I make this part feel like the Cat's Lair to you? I think that would be probably how we would have to go about it, so that it felt true to what the original source was, but wasn't so ridiculous. Like I said, I mean, it's a mountainside.
Yeah,
like
it's huge.
It's
Okay.
huge.
Now, the Thunder Tank, is it really bigger than what it was the first time we saw it? Because in that video that Josh shared, it really did look like it was a little bit bigger than original.
Yeah, I think over time that we've been going through this, it has grown. One, it was already big and maybe it just didn't look like it, but it has grown. I think it's grown like 6 or 7% as a whole, just bits and pieces here and there for more clearance here, more clearance there. How do the figures fit in here? How do the figures fit in there? So it has gotten a bit bigger, but it's been little pushes. It's not like, oh, we went, it's like this came out a little bit and this, but it is bigger to make it right. But it was already gigantic.
Yes. It won't fit in here. Well, it's going to be like that, and that's it. It's going to fill the whole place.
This way, you can put it both ways and put the claws up, and then you're good.
Now, with Snake Mountain, you shipped it out in batches. Is it going to be similar with the Thunder Tank shipping because it's so big?
Yeah, it's going to have to be.
Now, let's talk about Wave 6. You mentioned now Wave 6 is...
It's true, I have mentioned it.
Yes. So the first thing, we've seen a tease of an LJN-inspired Mamre, the Ever Living. Is that, when is Wave 6 coming out? Let's start there.
When is Wave 6 planned for versus when is it coming out? Like, we're still waiting on approvals on our imagery. So it will be highly dependent upon when the final imagery gets approved.
This month still, probably?
I would hope so, but those are not decisions that I get to make. But yes, it should be this month.
Okay. Now, you mentioned, well, we spoke about it before, you do have the molds for Wave 2. That is definitely not a reaction LJ in toy color Mamre that we saw the other day as a tease. That must be, is it Ultimates?
Oh, I have no idea.
Okay, then can you put your social media person on so we can ask them the question?
No, because they can't answer it either. That's why it's called a tease.
Okay. No, that's fine. We'll wait. Okay. No, I won't even ask if it's got light up eyes because that's not even going to help. But is that something you would consider? Is it something that's possible to have light up eyes?
We've done light piping, but I hadn't actually thought about actually doing light up eyes. That's pretty cool. That's a good idea, Eggman.
Little switch here in the back.
Make just a little button in the back or something?
Yes, the battery.
Yeah. Well, when we do that, we'll put thanks, Eggman, on the back of the package.
Okay, that's
I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna write down light up eyes on. I hadn't even thought about that, but that's a really good idea.
But is that going to affect the price now? Is that going to go up? Everybody's going to be emailing you, say, hey, why is it now so much?
No. Well, if I want to do something like that, it wouldn't even be able to happen until 2023 sometime.
Now
there's that.
You've got, this is a little bit off topic, but I thought that it might actually work. Your super-sized vinyl figures.
Mm-hmm.
Would ThunderCats, a character like Snarf, perhaps work as one of super-sized vinyl figure?
Snarf might be able to work. What we've really seen in the super-size is what translates really well are cartoon characters.
Mm-hmm.
And what's special about the super-size form factor more than anything is the mixing of the soft goods with the vinyl. So it is, it's the clothes on Charlie Brown or Franklin or the cape on the Gator that the clothes on Pinocchio. And that's what really pushes it to something where it's like, oh, this is really cool and unique and different. This isn't just a big vinyl. Okay. So in the case of Snarf, though, but what we've seen is that the ones that don't have necessarily soft goods the same way, they still can translate really well if they come from a cartoon point of view. Like I'm trying to think of a good example, but like you know, the Bionic Woman doesn't translate as well. Real people don't translate well into that, but cartoon characters really do. So Snarf's not a bad idea. I don't know if I can get him to balance on his tail, but
yeah, that's going to be a bit difficult.
Yes.
Okay, now the future of ThunderCats. Will we continue to have too good, too bad?
That's the ideal scenario.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an ideal scenario. We'll never make Wily Kid or Wily Cat, though.
You're not going to make it.
Just kidding. I'm just
okay,
kidding.
that's fine. I've got there. It's fine. Don't worry.
Hey.
The reason I'm asking is because you are going to run out of official ThunderCats very soon.
Yes.
Does that mean that you're going to deep dive to actually get an official ThunderCat or a Thunderian or good guy like Archiman? And
I think there's still quite a few people to be made. I think there's still a lot of characters that people want that we haven't touched yet. Using an example, it's not the best example, but like, Ghost Jaga, for example, like, oh, we could come back in a wave and bring Ghost Jaga in there, rather if we were out of, or we had less sort of main ThunderCats to throw in there. That's one where I think a lot of people really do want that character versus like, oh, that's really feels more like a convention thing. Like Ghost Jaga feels more like what people would want. So, eventually, if we do run out of ThunderCats, themselves, the heroes, if you will,
yes,
then we'll just have to make a whole bunch of bad guys and everybody will probably be okay with it. We'll be okay with it.
Yes, there's lots of it. Okay, what wave are you currently working on? I know you work in the future, so which wave are you on?
8.
8. Okay.
I'm planned through 9 or 10, but I'm working on 8.
Okay.
I'm working on 8. We're finishing 7. 6 is almost about to launch.
Okay. And then are you still planning to do like 3 a year, roughly, now that we caught up?
Yeah.
So we'll see another wave.
Price it out, make it affordable, make it so everybody can get the figures. I will say though, that we do have a special figure slated for this year. So there's a special one coming up that's really cool.
Okay. Later in the year, close to Christmas, or as an exclusive?
There's a special figure coming this year.
Okay.
It's coming.
Is that special figure a pre-order or available immediately?
Available immediately.
Okay. And everybody will be able to get it.
What's that?
Everybody will be able to get it.
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, now that I think about it, if I'm trying to think about everything you're doing, don't live in the future. There are 2 special figures this year. One will be a pre-order, one will be in stock item.
Okay. So we need to have our wallets ready.
We have plenty of time.
Okay. Is there an upcoming accessory that you think will blow us away?
I think the in-stock special figure that we're making will blow you guys away. I don't think anyone's going to see this one coming.
Okay.
No one's going to see it coming.
Good guy, bad guy. Can't
tell you.
Okay. Now, LJN have obviously the toy versions, and you have brought them out in reaction, and both as the cartoon and as the toy. Now, from what it appears, the LJN Mamram might come out in Ultimates. But before we touch on it, you only have like half of the LJN figures left to actually make in Ultimates. Is it your plan to finish all the LJN characters, or do you mind not mixing them up with previously unmade? Or do you want to, like, I know Motu wanted to finish everything that was made as a vintage toy, and then they added in little bits of extra here and there.
I don't think that drives our decision making a lot. No, I think we're just like, what feels right this way? What's the coolest figures? What do we want to get to? So, you know, I'm aware, obviously, and I pay attention to what was LJN did, but I don't use that as the roadmap for our line.
Now the variant that Mamra might be in this next possible wave, you've done it with turtles, is that there are lots of variants in each wave. There's been this Punk Donatello in the previous one, and so on and so on. Is that something that you're looking at in future waves with Thundercats, to add a fifth figure where it might be an LJN inspired character?
Not right now. No, we haven't put in a fifth one for Thundercats. Nothing has presented itself in a way that we're like, oh, this is what we need to do here for Thundercats. I think it's working pretty well. The fifth figure, the first time we did the fifth figure was in Power Rangers, because we felt like we needed 2 Rangers, 2 villains, but you can't leave out the Zord. So you had to have a Zord, and that was 5. We've done a fifth figure, you know, we've dropped one in the last Turtles wave, because it was very much the fifth figure was sort of like, you didn't need to have it. It was a bit like a recolor, but not really like trying to change it up. The fifth figures we're doing here and there, but they're more sparing. Okay. You know, if we get to a fifth item, whether it's a figure or an accessory, it's very much for that guy that's really looking for something extra on his shelf. It's not so much like, I need this for the checklist. It's very much like, oh, that would be cool if I had one like this too. It's almost, I view it less as being almost like necessary and more fun to have, but not needed for anybody trying to collect the line. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Have you considered the Build-A-Figure model?
I hate Build-A-Figures. I absolutely hate Build-A-Figures, because it's just like, just put the figure in a package and I'll buy it. Like, people use Build-A-Figures to make you buy the characters you don't want. You know, it's like, I don't want to buy 17th paint variant Iron Man to get a leg to make this guy. Like, you know, just if you want to make that guy and I'll buy it. Like, I don't see the point. You've already got the figure, and if I'm giving you a figure and it's got that extra part, it's not like you're not paying for that part. You're paying for that part in less accessories or something else. And now I got to buy these 6 figures to get this guy, but I don't want these. Just put these things in a package and sell it to me, and I'll be fine. I'll buy it. I know it's funny, because we were having this conversation, because there's somebody that works for us that's just like, I love Build-A-Figures. They're so much fun. And I'm like, they drive me crazy. Because then they're also not engineered as well, and they don't stay together as well. And there's a lot of things around them. I don't like Build-A-Figures. Sorry.
The thing is just, I know some people that only remember certain characters from the cartoon, and then if they wanted a specific figure, and that figure is the Build-A-Figure, and they have to buy a character that they don't know or not familiar with, it becomes a, oh, well, then I'll just skip everything situation.
Yeah.
Okay, now how about the build a diorama option? Have you thought about that? I know you've got the throne with SilverHawks. Is that something you might think with Thundercats?
We've talked about a couple different things. Nothing that's in motion at the moment, and that's probably because there's been easier or better places to go, which is the Thunder Tank and why am I blanking on her name all of a sudden? The Cycle. I can't believe I just
The
blanked on it.
electrocharger,
I'm
yeah.
picturing it like, here it is flying in space. I'm like, I've lost the electrocharger. Yeah, it's like right now, it's been less about the diorama because we've got actual, vehicles and other things that are really important to the storyline that we can get into. So we've gone there right now rather than sort of background and display elements.
So can we expect to see some more smaller vehicles like the nosediver in the future?
Sky cutter.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. Yeah. I think that's definitely something that we're looking at.
Okay.
I gotta
Now,
get these done. But
yes,
yes.
finished first. Yeah, we'll wait. We'll talk about it next year. Okay, now you've now got the pinless version of Lino with mirror Lino that's in wave 5. How many variants have you discussed releasing of Lino? This is just hypothetical.
Hypothetical? Oh, if you wanted to list them out, there's probably a gazillion, I mean, I'm not, but you could sit here and be like, there's this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. But yeah, I mean, we went back and retooled all that, made new tooling for all that stuff so we could get it pinless. So that was with mirror Lino, but Lino would be one that there are a lot of variants depending on all the different source material. There's colors of him in the books, there's colors of him in the toys, there's things that happen in the cartoon, there's all sorts of places to go with Lino. I think if they're done right and they're fun, I think a lot of those people are happy to have those variations and enjoy them the same way. I don't necessarily think that if they're on brand that they feel like you're being abusive to the collector with them. But I think you have to be sort of very, on point, no different than we talked about Ghost Jaga. Like, oh, makes sense. Now you gave him a purple hand and you're releasing it again. Well, that's not good enough. So I think there are real moments and real points of emotional history around some variants of Lino that I think people will still want to have. So I do think that there are some other ones in the future that make sense.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to the reaction figures. Now, I love them. Those little guys, they're so adorable.
They are adorable. I love that descriptor for them. Adorable. That's normally what people say. These are adorable.
When can we see Wave 3? When is it coming out?
I don't know. I have to look at the calendar. It's out there. I don't remember where. I am so in 2024 right now. I don't remember. It's going to be a hot minute still, though, but there are more ThunderCats in reaction.
Okay. Can you give us a name?
ThunderCats.
Is it one of the released ones?
I don't think so.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's cool. Just jumping back to wave 6. Will we see a previously unmade character in there?
I can't tell you anything yet, Edwin. You have to wait. This is what the teaser is for. As soon as we get the images and everything else approved, you will know it all.
Okay, that's fine.
The knowledge will come forth via Instagram.
Now back to the reaction. We've mentioned the Thunder Tank in the past. Have you revisited that idea?
Not yet. It would probably, if you were to do it correctly, it would probably be the same size as the LJN Thunder Tank.
Yeah, to fit all of them.
Yeah.
Okay. SilverHawks.
Yes. I met those guys.
You've met them. Okay.
Yeah.
Will they have toy variants in Ultimates?
Maybe one day.
Okay.
First, we got to get these up.
And reaction, when are they coming out? Are they still on the horizon?
I don't think we have any SilverHawks in reaction right now.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Will they be?
Possibly.
Okay. The current wave that we've got, there are some weapon birds that only have like one position. Those ones, that's the seated ones. They're not in flight. Is there a reason why some of them are only the one option and not spread wings or in action mode?
I would have to go back and look at each one of those again and why we made the decisions we made on those. I'm trying to think, like, trying to remember. I mean, Christ, I could probably pull them up. I'm trying to remember, like Captain Stargazer. Does he only have one or does he have two?
Just one.
You see, I can't remember. It's like it's two. It's like that's done
Long ago. Okay.
It's low. Well, it was long gone, probably a year ago. I'd have to pull it up. Why don't I pull it up? I can't pull it up if I'm in Zoom because I'm in Zoom. No, there's definitely a bit where the reality, and I'm not saying anything probably anybody doesn't know, but the reality of manufacturing has caught up with us a little bit. If you looked at some of the Ultimates, it was like, oh, here's a figure and it's got an extra head and a bunch of hands and 2 or 3 accessories. And people are like, oh, wow, that's really great. And then it was like, all right, and now it's got another set of hands and another accessory and another head and another this. And we got to a point where all of a sudden it was this big, but it was still okay. And I would say that definitely in the last year, you're seeing, not along with shipping, but plastic prices, factory prices, material prices, labor prices, everything going up a lot, where we have to be a little bit more conscious about how much stuff is with them. Because it had gotten to a point where it was like, there's 439 things with that. I mean, if you look at like Wave 2 of G.I. Joe, I think that was the pinnacle of how much stuff can I stick in with a figure. And we were like, oh my, like we're creating problems for ourselves. But it wasn't a matter of, oh, we've got to cut all this stuff out and we got to make less. I think we were putting a little too much on our plate from the buffet than we could actually eat. So we're having to be a little bit more responsible. But I think in most those cases, one of the first things we looked at was always the accessory, was always like, okay, what are we doing with the birds? And then do we need, in some cases, their flying form was not really that strong of a character within that, and it was like, would we rather have another bird or would we rather have these weapons? And it's like, oh, it made more sense to have these weapons.
Do you plan to do vehicles or playsets for SilverHawks?
I would hope that we could get there. Let me get some figures out. We get all one step at a time. I gotta get a bunch of shiny, pearly figures out into people's hands first.
So you are involved, or you're somehow involved with the new cartoon. Is there any news on that?
No. This is a giant morass of difficult stuff. All of that stuff is off the table at this point. How do you talk about it in a way that I can talk about it without getting people grumpy about stuff?
You can say no comment.
Maybe it's no comment. I mean, there are a lot of competing views on who owns SilverHawks. I'll just put it that way. That didn't used to be there.
Okay.
So now there are a lot of competing people that believe that they own different parts of it. That said, that alone would get me in trouble. So I will put it this way, that I do believe that there is one true owner for SilverHawks, and they are not currently interested in working on creating an animated series with the people that were previously trying to put together an animated series, unfortunately.
That doesn't in any way affect the Ultimates releases from Super7.
I believe that we are all on, as far as maybe because it's not resolved yet. Ink isn't dry on paper. I can't completely talk about it, but we are all in agreement on who owns it. We are all in agreement on what the rights are. We're all in agreement of how things go forward, but I don't have ink on paper, so I don't want to speak on something that's not finished.
Let's move on to nicer speculation.
You're like, oh man, this interview keeps just going down. I'm trying to go it up like this, and he keeps driving it into the ground.
No, that's fine. Will we see a previously unmade character in the next wave? I know we've just got wave 3 that's still on pre-order, but will we get a unmade character in Ultimates soon?
In wave 4? Yeah.
Okay.
Wave 4 should be all new characters, I believe.
Okay. Previously unmade in toy form.
Oh, previously unmade. You're saying versus the 1980s.
No.
I thought you meant like recolors. Oh, I think so. I think so.
And then are we on track for wave 1's delivery this year? I know there was a little bit of a delay. That you mentioned.
Yeah. I'm supposed to be seeing final samples any day now. So, we were looking at revised test shots last week again. So we should be seeing something very soon. And then once we say check, then it goes into production.
To end on a much nicer thing, you are going to Comic-Con this year, and
yes, we're all going to go to Comic-Con. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be great.
And
hopefully
Toy Fair.
Catch COVID.
You're going to Toy Fair.
Toy Fair doesn't happen this year. Oh, you mean New York Comic-Con?
Yes. Yeah.
New York Comic-Con? Yes, we will be at New York Comic-Con.
Okay.
Yes.
You mentioned that the exclusives that you had planned, obviously there's been big delays now with everything. And what you might have planned for Comic-Con might not happen, pushed back. Would you consider showing off those planned surprises or at that event, or would it wait for its reveal later?
As far as I know right now, because I had a meeting about it this morning, the latest information that we have is that while it's leaving later than we would like out of the factory for San Diego, we're going to fly in units or go slow air units for the event itself. Because if it's going to San Diego properly through how I would normally do it, it would need to land in my warehouse weeks before the event, brought into inventory, palletized, and then taken down with the booth. When it gets assembled, we ship all of our inventory with the booth, with everything else that gets assembled. The inventory will not be here in time for that. It will be here like the week of it'll show up like as San Diego is happening. So we will we are going to air in a certain amount of product ahead of time so that we have it at the event. And then the Monday after, when it goes live, then everybody will be able to buy from inventory that's in stock until it's gone. It's not the best answer because it's expensive, but
it's a better answer.
I think it's important. I think it's important to be there with it.
So before we end, can I just mention Snarf again?
You mentioned Snarf again? You can mention Snarf again. I think we mentioned him earlier.
Ended with Snarf.
Yeah. One of these days you're going to have a Snarf, or you'll get a Snarf. I'm well aware, but Eggman really wants him. Let's push him out another wave. Push him out.
No, please don't. He's badly needed.
All in due time. All in due time. You will get a Snarf, and he will hang out with your buddies back there.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brian. Thank you for chatting. And I hope we can talk again soon. And we look forward to seeing Wave 6 one of these days. Hope everything gets approved and pushed through. So that
as soon as it gets approved, you'll be seeing Wave 6.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, Brian. We'll chat again soon.
Okay.
Thank you. Cheers.